My grandparents left everything to me, but my siblings tried to take it through lies and court. After exposing their dirty secrets, I won it all. I'm 33M and I'll be honest, I didn't expect my life to spiral into a family war after my grandparents passed. We weren't the perfect family, but things weren't this messed up either. My grandparents raised me more than my own parents did. My mom and dad were always busy and I found myself at my grandparents' place more often than not. I didn't mind though. They were good people, always caring and supportive, unlike my siblings. So when my grandparents died, I was crushed. But it got even crazier when I found out they left everything to me. The house, their savings, even the small cottage by the lake, it was all mine. And the kicker? My brother, 38M, and sister, 36F, got nothing. Absolutely zero. I knew they'd be pissed, but I had no idea the hell that was about to break loose. It started with a phone call from my brother a few days after the will was read. "How the hell did you get everything? This has to be some kind of mistake." He shouted into the phone, his voice dripping with entitlement. "It's not a mistake," I said, trying to stay calm. "That's what they wanted. They left it all to me." "Bullshit," he snapped. "They were probably senile. You must have convinced them, manipulated them somehow." I hung up before the conversation could get any worse. I knew my brother was going to lose his mind, but I wasn't ready for what came next. My sister, who I thought might be a little more reasonable, showed up at my house the next day. She stood at my front door with her arms crossed, giving me that fake smile she always used when she wanted something. "We need to talk," she said, pushing her way inside before I could even respond. "What's there to talk about?" "The will is clear," I said, shutting the door behind her. She sat down on my couch, tapping her nails against her knee. "You don't need all of that. I mean, come on, a whole house in the lake property? You can't even use it all. It would be better if we split it. Fairly." "I don't think that's what fairly means," I replied. "Grandma and Grandpa left everything to me for a reason. You barely saw them." Her fake smile dropped instantly, replaced with a look of pure venom. "You're really gonna be selfish about this? After everything we've been through?" I wanted to laugh at her audacity. "Everything we've been through? I'm the one who was there for them, not you. They left it to me because they trusted me, not because I asked for it." She stood up, shaking her head. "This isn't over." And it wasn't. My siblings took their entitlement to the next level, dragging me into court. They challenged the will, claiming my grandparents were mentally unfit when they wrote it. The same grandparents they barely visited, mind you. The same ones they ignored unless they needed money. Their argument? They claimed I manipulated my grandparents into leaving me everything, painting me as some kind of schemer who isolated them from the rest of the family. It was complete nonsense. But they had no shame in pushing that narrative. The legal process dragged on for months. My siblings' lawyers kept finding ways to stall and complicate things, hoping I'd eventually give up or settle just to end the nightmare. But I wasn't backing down. I knew I had to honor my grandparents' wishes, no matter what. The whole ordeal took a toll on me. I was exhausted, mentally and emotionally. The back and forth in court, the dirty tricks they pulled, it felt like a never-ending assault. My brother, always the more aggressive one, started spreading rumors that I'd stolen money from my grandparents while they were still alive, claiming I'd been funneling their savings into my own accounts. He even tried to get our parents involved, hoping they'd pressure me to back off. "Why can't you just settle this?" My mom pleaded during one of her calls. "This is tearing the family apart. You can share some of it with your siblings, can't you?" "It's not about sharing, Mom. It's about what Grandma and Grandpa wanted. They left everything to me for a reason. They knew my brother and sister would waste it. You're all family. Families should stick together." I was getting tired of hearing that. Families should respect each other's decisions. But they don't. They're trying to manipulate the situation because they're mad they didn't get a cut. The turning point came during a court hearing. My siblings had nothing but accusations, no proof. They were just hoping the court would buy into their sob story. But I wasn't going to let them walk all over me. I had kept quiet up until this point, but it was time to go nuclear. I had done my homework. See, my brother and sister weren't exactly saints. They'd both been in legal trouble before, stuff they kept hidden from the rest of the family. My brother had a record for fraud, nothing major, but enough to raise eyebrows. And my sister? She'd been caught shoplifting a few years ago, though she'd managed to sweep it under the rug. I brought that up in court. You're claiming I manipulated our grandparents? I said, addressing the judge. But what about them? My brother has been arrested for fraud. My sister's been caught stealing. They didn't show up for our grandparents unless they wanted something, and now they're trying to take what doesn't belong to them. The courtroom went silent. My siblings looked like they'd been slapped. I could see the rage building in my brother's face, but he couldn't do anything about it. The truth was out now. My lawyer backed me up, presenting the evidence we gathered. The judge wasn't impressed by my siblings' baseless claims. In the end, the court ruled in my favor. My grandparents will stood as written, and I was granted full control of the estate. My siblings were livid. My brother stormed out of the courtroom without a word, and my sister, who had been quiet through most of the hearing, just glared at me before following him out. They lost, and they knew it. I'd like to say that was the end of it, but it wasn't. My siblings tried one last desperate move a week after the ruling. My brother called me, trying to sound calm and reasonable, which wasn't like him at all. "Look, we don't need to keep fighting," he said. "We can work something out. I know we've had our differences, but there's still time to fix this. You don't need everything. Just give us a little, enough to help us out, and we'll drop everything. No more drama." I couldn't believe he was still trying. "You really don't get it, do you? This isn't about the money. It's about respecting what Grandma and Grandpa wanted. They didn't trust you for a reason, and I'm not going against their wishes just because you're pissed off." His voice hardened. "You're making a mistake. You'll regret this." "No," I said. "I won't," and that was the last time we spoke. They've both cut me off since then, and honestly, I'm fine with it. I don't need people in my life who would go to such lengths to take what isn't theirs. It's been a few years since all of this went down. I still have the house, the savings, and the cottage. I visit the lake property often. It's peaceful, a reminder of my grandparents and everything they stood for. My parents, they're still stuck in the middle, trying to play peacemaker, but I've made my peace with it. I've come to terms with the fact that sometimes even family will turn on you when money's involved. If there's anything I've learned from this, it's that entitlement can make people do crazy things. My siblings thought they were owed something just because we share the same blood, but that's not how life works. You earn trust, and if you break it, don't expect to be rewarded. So yeah, I want everything, but I also lost 2 siblings in the process. Maybe that's the real cost of inheriting a family fortune, realizing that money can turn even the closest relationships into battlegrounds. If you stuck with me through this mess of a story, hit that subscribe button. Who knows what kind of drama I'll get pulled into next time.